I actually want to talk about something different in terms of Iron Fist, something a little bit more controversial, because I think we should kind of keep coming back to Iron Fist because I keep seeing people say similar things about Iron Fist and the issue of whitewashing. Now, before the trailer dropped, I think it was last week, there was a picture of Danny Rand or the main character who plays Danny Rand. I'm forgetting his name. He was on Game of Thrones. He was posing, doing like a kung fu thing with a tattoo on his chest.
Yes.
And people were clowning on him.
Finn Jones.
People were clowning on him on Twitter. Black Twitter was going in on him. People on Twitter were just destroying him. And I have to admit that he did look a little silly. The trailer I liked. And I think ultimately I'm going to like it because I like the Netflix stuff. But he does look a little weird.
Nah, I ain't gonna front the white savior thing. I've seen that too. The Great White Hope, as they call it, where a white man infiltrates a culture, and is the chosen one is deemed the chosen one or the one to save the people in said culture. So Danny Rand, orphan child of rich parents, lands in Kunlun. And he becomes the Iron Fist, the Beast. You know what I mean? And I ain't gonna front. He did look a little, because I did see some of the pictures and stuff. There's something that I don't know what it is that look off. It's definitely not a white thing. It's just something about it. He's not like Iron Fist in the comics. And this is like really hard to do. But Iron Fist in the comics kind of looks like he's in really good like shape, like Bruce Lee type of shape. Not many people can be in that shape. He looks kind of soft. Like he looks kind of soft. Like he looks like. Listen, man. When you focus your key, though, anything's possible, man.
I guess so. It's just if I lost like 20 pounds, I'd look like him. And you spray that like tattoo on my chest, I'd look just like him.
Nah, I will say this. I think it does have to do with physique a little bit. Because the tattoo does look a little weird on his chest.
And it
looks mad fake.
It does.
He's like 3 years old. He's like, yo, I want to get this Iron Fist tattoo. And he pasted like a fake tattoo on his chest. It does look a little fake.
And I'm also wondering like what his final costume is going to look like.
That's my thing.
Because in the comics, I like Iron Fist in the comics. I'm fine that he is the way that he is. And I know people had a problem with Doctor Strange, and I felt that Doctor Strange, that was a little difficult one. I don't think you could really change it up, in my opinion.
You mean his costume?
Just the whole backstory and what they were going to do with Doctor Strange.
Sure. That's another great White Hope story, by the way.
I think with Danny Rand, I think they maybe should have made it an Asian guy. I was going to mention, there's a guy that's going to be on the show called Louis Tan.
Mm-hmm.
He is an actual martial artist. I think... Well, he's like in one episode from what I can see here. And I think he was also, he's like the coordinator or something, stunt coordinator. Sure. And he like did a little campaign. It was obviously like a campaign that wasn't going to lead it to anything because it was already announced who Finn Jones was going to be Iron Fist. But he was basically just putting videos of himself and doing martial arts routines. And he was like, yo, look what I can do. Hey, Louis Tan is Iron Fist, #. People obviously were for it because they're not too crazy about Iron Fist. And I'm just like, if they changed it up, if they made this guy, Louis Tan, as Iron Fist, I know people don't know him like that, but the videos he was putting up on Twitter look dope as hell. Like, he definitely knows martial arts. And that was one of the cool things about Daredevil, the choreography. So you got this guy out here that is choreographer himself. He looks great. Like, he looks better than Finn Jones. I mean, no offense to Finn Jones. He's taller. He's more fit. Like, he's cut up. He's more handsome. Like, and he's Asian. Just change it up. He's an Asian guy. That's all you have to change it up.
The one thing I have to say, I don't know Louis Tan at all. Yeah. I mean, I've seen pictures of him. I've seen the videos, but I don't know him as like an actor. Yeah. Is the acting ability there?
That's true.
Not to say they couldn't have found, an Asian character with the acting ability, but obviously Finn Jones has some acting chops, and that's why they picked him up.
That's also true.
That being said, you do face the conundrum of saying, all right, well, do we change his race just to change his race because we feel like that's the right thing to do, or do we give it a reason to change race? Now, there are other characters that people always imply, like, what if we just made Luke Cage black? But you have to remember, like, his black culture and his background is inherently infused with the character. Like Danny Rand, as far as I understand, there's nothing inherent about his character that says his origin, like his story, is dependent on him being a white person.
No, nothing really.
You know what I'm saying?
And this whole whole story about him coming from money. I mean, I don't know Iron Fist like that, but I didn't know that was part of his story. I don't know if they just made that up or if that was a part of his story.
He definitely does come from money.
Okay,
he definitely does come from money.
Because I know the character came during like the 70s, during like the whole kung fu blaxploitation trends.
And that's where the issue lies, where Iron Fist was the origins of it was during a time where there was an obsession with martial arts and characters like Bruce Lee. And obviously, during the time, for the most part, there wasn't very much representation and things like this because they're trying to appeal to a certain audience,
Yeah.
Most white people, back then would prefer to see a white character in their comics.
Yeah.
And I think... See, I don't want to get to the point where I'm defining roles by, saying, all right, well, they should have got an Asian. Or they should have got a half Asian, half white. But I think it would have been a good idea if they got someone that was of Asian descent. They don't have to be, pure-blooded Asian, tracing their generations back to, China or anything like that. But I think it would have been nice. I think it would have been cool if they did get a character of Asian descent. You could even have played it like, hey, we want to be true to the origins, so we'll make him of Asian descent, but make one of his parents white.
Yeah, that's totally fine. I mean,
that would have been the ultimate compromise.
Like, I've seen a lot of people talk about it, and I've been trying to understand. I guess it sounds kind of dumb to say I don't fully understand it. I guess it's because it's so pervasive, and I've seen it for so long. Everybody but many Asian people doing martial arts and kung fu. But I guess a good way to look at it is, imagine you had a Jamaican superhero and he wasn't Jamaican, he was just a white guy.
Damn.
He was I don't know, Major Lazer.
My man said, I'm about to choke you for that.
I'm just saying that character, he's clearly a Jamaican dude. He's out there like a commando with a machete and machine guns. He's like Rambo, but Jamaican. And everything about him is Jamaican, but it's like, oh, we're going to make a Netflix series of Major Lazer. He's the main character, but we're going to have Scott Eastwood be Major Lazer.
Lord.
It's just like, he's going to be from Jamaica, and he's going to have the colors on on his clothes. Like, it's not going to make any sense. So I guess under that, like, if you look at it that way, that's kind of how silly it looks sometimes when you have a character. I mean, martial arts, they're from Asia. Like, they're so popular, and it's so part of American culture that we just think it's like become so normalized here. But they're from Asian descent. But yeah, I was I don't know. I guess another thing that's a little weird about it is I've seen Finn Jones. I saw him in Game of Thrones. I don't know if he's been in anything else, but he's a British dude and he speaks. In the Game of Thrones, he would speak with his normal way of speaking. So now he's playing Danny Rand and he has like this American accent. So I guess that's another thing that just make it sound a little weird to me when I would see him kind of talk.
Well, I also add to the fact that Kunlun is in China.
Mm-hmm.
It's in like the middle of China. Mm-hmm. Like, like that right there, it's tough. It's really tough.
It is.
But
it is. I mean, they could have done. Like, I don't know. I think all the Netflix series have their own distinct flavor to it.
Sure.
Daredevil's kind of noir, and the fighting is really cool. Luke Cage just kind of harkens back to like 90s sort of hip hop. Like, it's like a certain era and certain feel, certain vibe to it. And as much as I like Luke Cage, I mean, the fighting choreography wasn't the greatest.
No.
So
and the costume design of freaking Diamondback was trash. My man looked like his mom made that Halloween costume like the day before just so he could have a costume. He was like, didn't he say it was Hammer Tech?
Yeah.
I was like, bro, you can say a lot of things about Justin Hammer, but he ain't making nothing out of it.
It was trash tech.
My man.
Huh? It was trash tech.
It was trash tech. It was Party City. My man got that from Party City.
But when it comes to Iron Fist, they could have done something a little different where they try to actually make it like a kung fu show. Like actually, they make it look like, you know, really good choreographed kung fu movie type of a show.
They still might. The one thing that I think about all the time when I think about something I'd want to see is something along the lines of the DLC for Sleeping Dogs. I always forget the name of it. You know what I'm talking about, though, where you're in that tournament and you know you basically have to get to the Drunken Master and beat him. I forget the name of the DLC, but you know what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
Like that feel where they kind of had, I forget the type of music that plays in it, but I would have liked it if they had gone that route. Let me see if I can look up the DLC. I can't. I feel like my memory is just trash today.
Is it called Zodiac Tournament?
The Zodiac Tournament, right.
Yeah, so like a 70s kung fu movie, I think.
Exactly. If they had taken that feel, I would have liked that a lot. But I also feel that they might have been, people. I think that might have drew more attention to the whole race situation because, it harkens back to a time where there was an exploitation of the culture, and then having a white man start in, I could see that drawing backfire. But one thing I will say is, you brought up Doctor Strange before,
yeah.
Where Doctor Strange had his own issues because you remember everyone was mad about the Ancient One being a woman, and they should have. Honestly, they would have done. It would have been really smart in the movie to show her in, I guess her introducing herself and talking about, the multiple iterations of the Ancient One and cycling through different people to show that she has been different people before. Do you understand what I'm saying? And you could have even had one version of the Ancient One from let's say the 17th century or something. Have that Ancient One look like the Ancient One in the comics. That would have been a neat way to tie it in. But instead, they kind of just avoided it altogether. But one thing I will say that they did well was having, Mordo be an African American.
Yeah.
Or a Black American. Like having him add some culture, having that add some diversity to the idea that the people that are part of this organization aren't necessarily, all one race. I mean, even that one dude who Mordo, spoilers for Doctor Strange, so for anyone who has to see it, Mordo went and took that guy's powers at the end. Yeah. I'm pretty sure he was Hispanic, if I'm not mistaken.
Yes.
Right?
So Benjamin Bratt, yeah.
Right, Benjamin Bratt. So there's this idea that there is some multicultural aspects to it. So I hope Iron Fist does take that approach with Kunlun. Even I know it's in China, but I think that would help to assuage people who feel a little bit uncomfortable about that.
Yeah, no, you got a good point. Maybe there's just like a nexus, like a worldwide nexus. I mean,
right?
There are places in China that are as international cities as, like New York. Like Hong Kong and Macau. There's people from all over the place there, where there are neighborhoods. Like here in New York, you think of neighborhoods of like different people from different countries and cultures. It's the same thing in places like China as well. So that could totally make sense.
Yeah, I think that honestly would have been a great idea. And I don't know. Benjamin Bratt, by the way, I don't think he's Hispanic, but he's his mother, I know, is Puerto Rican. It's from Peru. So I don't know if he's of Hispanic descent, but I know that he's of South American descent.
That's Hispanic. That's considered Hispanic. Peruvians are Hispanic.
Okay. Yeah. So, but yeah, I just wanted to clarify that. But yeah, I mean, I just honestly, in my heart of hearts, I would have liked Danny Rand to have been of Asian descent, especially since Asians don't get nearly enough representation as they should.
No, I definitely agree.
Now, as two lovers of video games, we could, honestly be like, yo, Asians get a lot of love in video games, and we want to see other characters. But when it comes to movies, TV, Asians don't get nearly enough representation. So I would have loved if they would have done that. Yeah, I there is something I will say. Finn Jones does look a little awkward as Danny Rand. I don't know what it is. It's just he kind of just looks. I think it's the build. Scrawny guy who doesn't look like he could be a hero, which is not the type of hero you want Iron Fist to be, at least in my opinion. Like that's like in my opinion, you want somebody like Spider-Man. Like in normal clothes, he doesn't look like he could be a hero. Like I don't think Iron Fist should necessarily look like that. But I don't want to judge anyone on their looks either too. You know what I'm saying? I don't want to be like I want to give Finn Jones a chance.